When it comes to filmmaking, everyone is going to have their own opinions of what makes a good video. But at some point, your skills are going to get good enough to where your filmmaking gear can actually become the limiting factor in making higher quality videos. So, whether you have a larger budget to spend on your first filmmaking setup or you're looking to upgrade equipment, I'm going to show you my filmmaking setup that'll give you professional looking video for $5,000. Hey everyone, Camber here, showing you how to use your camera to make good videos. And today I'm going to show you a complete filmmaking setup that will give you great quality video that you could use for paid work. Once you get good enough, of course. So the four things we're going to cover in this setup are the camera, the lens, the microphone, and the tripod. All of which are linked in the description. But the one other thing you'll need that is not included is a memory card, which I have not included because memory cards can vary greatly in price depending on the size, capacity, and the speed class rating of the card. So I'm going to leave that up to you depending on how fast the card and how much space you think you'll need. But I do have a video that I'll link in the description with the recommended memory cards for this camera, which is the Sony a7S Mark III. And with this camera, you get a full frame 5-axis stabilized sensor that will give you 4K video not only at 24 frames per second with no cropping, but also 60 and even up to 120 frames per second, depending on the memory card you have, because the speeds change on what you need depending on the type of video you're using. And not only do you have all those frame rates available in 4K, but you also can record them at 10-bit 422. Now, this may seem like some foreign concept, all these numbers just being thrown around out there, because a lot of people don't even really know what that means. But I have some other videos that I'll link down in the description that explain what 10-bit versus 8-bit is, and 422 versus 420, which is what most lower quality cameras have, so that you'll understand what that really means and what you're getting for it. But it's good to know you have those options so that you can produce higher quality images in case that's what your clients want. And you also have the option of shooting raw video with this camera to an external recorder, which will up your quality even more. And like all the new Sony cameras, the 30-minute recording limit is gone from this camera. You have unlimited recording, so whether you're shooting like a long wedding ceremony or maybe podcast, anything over 30 minutes, you don't have to worry about setting a timer on your watch and going to hit record again, because the camera stops recording like so many, or not so many, but all of the Canon cameras do. Pretty much Sony and Panasonic now are the ones you can trust to not have that limit, because they're not worried about the old tax laws that are being phased out. If you don't know what I'm talking about, another video I'll link up here, but why cameras have the 30-minute limit. And of course, the great thing that the a7S Mark III introduced is the fully articulating touchscreen. Now, this is long overdue, especially considering all the Canon cameras that have it, all the other brands that have it. We've been asking for this for a while. You get it now in the Sony a7S Mark III. This is the one thing that really sets it apart, which is kind of funny because it should have been there a long time ago. The camera's bigger than it used to be because of that, but it's great. And it also gives you the ability for touch autofocus and tracking. So say, for example, you're pointing at something, you touch it, it focuses on that for you. You touch something else, it'll rack focus to other things, so it makes hitting those focus points super easy instead of sitting there. I remember used to doing manual focus, trying to focus on things, which can be really hard if you're under a time crunch or a live event. And you also have the option of touch tracking. So say, for example, you're gonna have something that's moving in the frame closer or further away from you. You can touch that object and it will track the object through the frame and stay focused on it, which is super helpful once again, like in a wedding setting. Say the bride's coming down the aisle, there's all kinds of faces and you don't want the autofocus jumping around. So you could touch the bride, she starts walking, and it's gonna track her all the way to you, making it super easy compared to, once again, trying to sit there and focus manually on it the whole time. Autofocus works great, all modes, so you can rely on it to perform as you want. And of course, it has all the picture profiles, S-Log2, S-Log3, depending on which one you like to use on your own color grading skills and experience. And you can match that with all kinds of other cameras, the Sony a7Siii, the a6600, even cinema cameras. And of course, it's always great to have the dual memory card slot. So there's SD cards as well as CF Express Type A cards. Once again, I have a memory card video listed in the description to tell you the best ones to get for this camera, depending on which modes you plan on using. And next up, we have the lens, which is the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 art lens. Now this thing is awesome. 24-70 is my favorite zoom focal length lens to have. It's very versatile. I use it all the time. 24 is wide enough. If you want to be vlogging, you can get yourself in there just fine. great for YouTube videos. When I'm at weddings, I pretty much have this on the camera the entire day, except in a ceremony when I'd be using a 70 to 200 because I'm a lot further away from the couple. But you have a constant aperture zoom of 2.8, so f2.8 is the lowest you can go throughout the entire zoom range. Great to have for a shallow depth of field at any focal length. And this lens is half the price of the Sony 24-70, which is what I've been using for a long time because I used to think I need to get all the brand name stuff because it must be better. But after using that and comparing it with this Sigma art lens, these things are awesome and it's half the price. So if I could go back, I would definitely get this one and invest that extra money in some good lighting equipment, which maybe I should just sell that one and do that now. I've used it in a lot of my short films because you have that great focal length range. It's really easy to just use that and change really quickly depending on the setting you're in instead of carrying a bunch of lenses around with you. And I travel with it all the time, which makes it super easy to have one lens instead of carrying a bunch of lenses, because the more weight, the worse it is. With a backpack, hiking, you want as little weight as possible, so having one lens is where it's at. And if you've been filmmaking for a while, you should know by now that sound is very important, and here we have the Sony ECM-B1M microphone. I don't know where they come up with these names. Like Rode VideoMic Pro is a really easy one to do, but you plug that into the multi-shoot interface, and as you can see, no wires, which is one of the things I love about this. It's compact, no wires like the Rode video mics. You have to plug them in, you have to charge them, all that stuff. This thing is powered from the camera, and it has digital and audio choices going straight into the camera with this setup. So let's turn this on real quick. It has multiple patterns on it. So for example, right now it's just like a typical shotgun mic. I'm vlogging, talking to it, everything's working just fine. But you know, once you turn it around, then the sound gets a little muffled because you're behind the microphone. So you can switch it to the circular pattern. And now let's say I'm vlogging, I want to show some stuff around the room, whatever's going on. Now you can hear equally well from all around the mic. So that's a good option to have. If there's other people involved, you want to hear everyone, depending on what's going on. And you have an in-between level where it takes about a half circle around the mic to pick up more. So very versatile there. And you also have an auto level option. So you can go to manual, set the levels how you want yourself, or auto, which works pretty well in most cases, except like maybe if you're sitting there talking and a door shuts or something, you'll get a little clipping there because it's not expecting it. But that works really well. There's different noise cut filters, attenuated levels, all kinds of great stuff with this. And like I said, it's light, it's small, which is great. It's a lot more inconspicuous instead of having a massive microphone on there. So you might not stand out as much if you're trying not to stand out. And even though steady mode for this camera is great handheld, you do need to set it up at times on some kind of stand. And for that, we have the Joby GorillaPod. And you might think, what, this advanced professional setup and you're just using a GorillaPod? Hold on a second. A lot of people give this a bad rap, but this thing is awesome, especially for the price. You have a ball head on top of this. So if you needed to, you could try to get some pans and tilts. Obviously, it's not ideal for that. It's nothing like a fluid head tripod, but when you're on the go, like I am all the time, I'm gonna show you a cool trick with this in just a second. But it has a notch in the side. You can tighten that up. So let's say you're getting into some TikTok or Instagram, you want vertical video, boom, you're good to go there. And it's made out of metal, so it's high quality there. And obviously, you know, you can set up like a tripod. Boom, good to go. So I've done this in hotel rooms a lot. I stick it up there, recording myself for YouTube videos. Or I've also used this a ton. Sightseeing, I like getting time lapses everywhere. Hook this around railings and I get time lapses of all kinds of famous places. I've hooked it up in trees before. I've hooked lights up to this. I mean, it's really versatile, all kinds of cool stuff you can use. But I'm gonna show you something I do all the time with this stand. I have my wife do it when she's following me around with stuff. You put two of the legs forward, one leg back, you make little handles, and look, you got your own little shoulder rig here. You could use this easily, walking around a wedding, doing all kinds of stuff, live events. It's a shoulder rig. I mean, look how small this is. So don't knock the GorillaPod till you get one and try it. For the price, this thing is awesome. So get creative and you can do all kinds of great things. With a steady shot combined with this, you're good to go. You don't need a tripod. And this entire setup with the A7S Mark III giving you that 4K all the way up to 120 frames per second, all those great features, the Sigma 24-70 f2.8 lens, the Sony microphone, and the GorillaPod will be $5,040. Now, I want to make it clear that you don't need this camera to make quality videos, and you can make do with something like an A7C, which is basically like the A7 III that I used for years, filming weddings, doing paid work with that. But this just gives you the option to get the highest quality video possible without getting into the cinema camera realm. But if you have any questions about any of these products, post them in the comments below and I'll try to clarify anything I can, answer all your questions. But if this video was helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and watch more videos, because I have a lot of videos and playlists on the channel that'll take you from knowing absolutely nothing about making video with these cameras to being able to make awesome videos that people will pay you for, all kinds of great cinematic techniques. So check that out for sure. I also have a private Facebook group linked below where I can better answer your filmmaking questions. So hopefully with all that, I'll see you soon.